Let's be real for a second. Value yarn is an essential part of the fiber arts community. As much as people don't like to talk about it, I think it's important that we recognize it really is the backbone of the fiber arts community, because when you think about it, most of us have learned to crochet or knit with value yarn, and it serves its purpose in the world. Don't get me wrong, as much as I love my hand-dyed yarn, I still love value yarn, and I think it's important to talk about. I remember feeling so overwhelmed by the amount of yarn at the craft store when I decided I wanted to learn how to crochet, and honestly, I had no idea where to start. And now that I've tried quite a few value yarns, I figured it might be fun to put together a tier ranking and let you know which ones I think are worth your time and money. Please remember, this video is just for fun. This tier ranking is just based off of my opinions. You're welcome to agree or disagree with me, and I'd love to see your own personal tier ranking in the comments, because I think it can be helpful for crocheters of all skill levels to get a better idea of what yarns are worth their time and which ones not so much. And before we get into the tier ranking, I just want to say welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Annie and I share all sorts of crochet content on my channel. So if you love all things cozy and all things crochet, this is the place for you, and you should definitely consider subscribing. And with that, I think we're ready to go ahead and get started ranking our value yarn. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull up that tier now. If you see me looking over to the side, it's because my laptop is right here, but I'm just going to quickly walk you through all of the different tiers that I've created. So here we have our list of tiers, and hopefully you are a fan of puns, because you might be able to tell I like them. And I think they're just really fun to use for tier ranking. So we have 4 different categories today. They're pretty similar from my tier ranking crochet hooks video. I just updated and spruced things up a little bit, which, by the way, if you like tier ranking style videos, you should definitely check out my tier ranking crochet hooks video after this. But starting from the top, we have I'm Hooked, which is reserved for my personal favorite value yarns. These are the ones that are tried and true. I love them. I don't really have anything bad to say about them. And despite developing quite the taste for hand-dyed yarn, I still find myself reaching for these value yarns. Second, we have Woolly Good, which is reserved for the yarns that are good. They're not my favorite. They might have a flaw or two about them that I personally don't enjoy, but they're not bad. You know, they're good. There's nothing quite wrong with them. They have some pretty good redeeming qualities, but there might be just some things that I don't love. Our third category is Not Very Impressive. This is reserved for the yarns that are not the greatest, but they're also not the worst. They've got a few things wrong with them that I really don't love, but there are worse yarns on this list, so you'll have to stay tuned for those. And our last category is reserved for the worst of the worst. No offense to these yarns, but they've done me wrong in some way. I'm not a fan of them, and I think they're honestly not a fan of me either. These are the yarns that I tend to avoid. I don't like them for one reason or another. And again, before I rank these yarns, I really just want to reiterate, this is completely based on my opinions.
That's my opinion!
There's really nothing else more to it than that, and if you disagree with me, it is totally okay. I would actually love to know if you disagree with me on any of my rankings, because again, we all have different tastes, we all enjoy different things, and that is totally okay and welcomed. I just want to make sure you know that, but let's go ahead and get started. You know, I'm not gonna lie, we're starting off pretty strong with Lion Brand Pound of Love. And before I go ahead and rank this one, I'll kind of just give you some of my thought process behind the ranking. So let's start with my personal pros about Lion Brand Pound of Love. For $12, you get just over 1,000 yards, which is a really good deal. I wanna say that comes down to just over a penny per yard, which is pretty awesome for a value yarn. It also comes in a ton of really great colors, and I've had a lot of fun making granny squares with this yarn because of those color options. And I do have one con about this yarn, and it's that it pills pretty badly in the washing machine, and it just honestly doesn't hold up as well as an acrylic yarn should, in my opinion. And for that reason, I think it has to go in Woolly Good, because there's nothing really wrong with it. I've made my dog Evie blankets with this yarn, and they do hold up pretty well, but I don't love the pilling on them. And I will say one other thing is that it tends to split quite a bit, which might make it not the greatest yarn for beginners. Next on our list, we have Joanne Big Twist Value, and to be quite honest, my opinions on this yarn have shifted quite a bit over the past 6 months. I'll start by saying I used to really love this yarn. I've written patterns with this yarn, and I've just really enjoyed working with it. In fact, this blanket behind me is made with Big Twist Value. But these days, I just really don't love it quite as much, and I'll share why in a second, but we'll start with the pros, being that one skein runs you about $4.50, and you get 380 yards, which is about equivalent to Lion Brand's Pound of Love. But I will say that this yarn also is much softer and holds up much better in the washing machine than Lion Brand Pound of Love. And all of that leads me to my ranking, which might surprise you. I have to put this one in not very impressive. And, you know, I think there's a good reason for that. That reason, drumroll please, is that this yarn splits so bad. At first, I thought it was just me and the way I was crocheting, but I've tried this with a variety of different hooks, a variety of different sizes, and different colors in the collection, and I just always split this yarn, and it honestly drives me nuts. I know a lot of people really love this yarn though, so don't knock it until you try it. It's not all bad. It's just, personally, there are just few things worse to me than when a yarn is splitting all over the place. I just can't deal, and for that reason, I think it just belongs in not very impressive. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's more just a preference thing, but all in all, I would still recommend that you try it. Next on my list, I have the classic Lily Sugar and Cream cotton yarn, which I'm sure if you crochet, you've heard of this yarn. It's everywhere, and people either love or hate this yarn. I feel like there's really no in between, and I'm curious, let me know in the comments, are you someone who loves this yarn, or are you someone that hates this yarn? I'm pretty sure every crocheter I know is either in one camp or the other, so I'm definitely curious. For me personally, this is one of my go-to yarns for making pretty much anything for my kitchen. I love making coasters and pot holders with this. I also love making cute little tops with this yarn as well. They're just perfect for summertime. You know, I think just for those reasons, we gotta go with I'm hooked. I really do love this yarn. It definitely has its purpose in the fiber arts community, and I will admit it can be a little bit rough to work with. It's not the softest yarn, but I like it for that reason because it holds up really well, and I just love knowing that I can throw it in the washing machine and everything will be totally fine. Up next, we have Lion Brand Basic Stitch, and I really hope I don't offend anyone with this, but personally, it's a real crochet. I really don't know what it is about Basic Stitch that I just can't stand, because I do enjoy working with Lion Brand Heartland, and I feel like they're not that different. There's something about this yarn that I just don't love, and honestly, I don't have a good reason for putting it in this category. It's just something about it. Every time I work with it, I just don't like it. I don't like it, and I'm really sorry. I feel like maybe I need to try working with this yarn again, because I don't even really know why I dislike it so much, and that makes me think that maybe it's because there's no good reason and I just am being dumb. So I don't know. Let me know if you think I need to try out Basic Stitch again, but for now, it's a real crocheting, guys. Next up, we have Super Saver, and I'm going to give you 3 seconds to guess where I'm going to put this one. Cast your vote in the comments. Okay, here we go. I cannot stand this yarn, and I feel so bad. I know so many people love Super Saver, and it has its place in the world. Again, I said that at the beginning. It still has its place in the world. I'm very sorry, Red Heart. And in fact, I'm pretty sure I learned how to crochet with this yarn. It was just this awful aqua blue color, and it served its purpose in my life, and I'm really grateful for it, but there's something about the texture of it. It's just so rough, and I really think that yarn is kind of like coffee. When you start drinking coffee, you're okay with drinking the really bad stuff because you don't know the difference. And then you start to taste espresso, and you start to go to the nicer coffee shop, and then all of a sudden you can really taste the difference between those 2 cups of coffee. And that's how I feel about Red Heart Super Saver. Now that I've tried hand dyed yarn and all of that sort of stuff, I just have such a hard time using Red Heart, and it definitely can be great for a lot of projects like amigurumi. Personally, I don't love the way that this yarn would feel up against my skin. Maybe I need to film a video using all of my most hated yarns in one project and just see what happens. I feel like that might be a fun idea. Let me know what you think. Up next, we have Caron Simply Soft, and I really am having a hard time deciding where I should put this one, but I think I'm gonna go with not very impressive. I used to really love this yarn as well, and this is another one that tends to split quite a bit. You might pick up on the theme that I really hate when my yarn splits. I think most crocheters do as well, but it's just such a headache. The other thing that I don't love about this yarn is why on earth is it so shiny? I used to not mind the shine on this yarn, but now it just drives me up a wall. I don't know why it's so shiny. So yeah, I guess it's safe to say that I'm not a fan of shiny yarn either. Like at all. I just don't like the shine. I don't want the shine. I feel like it distracts from my stitch definition and all my hard work. I want no shine. Now that we have that settled, we are moving on to the Loops and Threads Soft Classic. This one's going straight to Woolly Good because honestly, this is probably my favorite value acrylic yarn. It just always turns out looking so nice in my projects. I'm not sure exactly what it is about the Michaels brand acrylic yarn that I just think is so fabulous, but I love it. There are so many great colors, and it also doesn't get super fuzzy like a lot of the other acrylic yarns do, and I think that's why I like it. It has really great stitch definition. Like this little granny square bag that I made here was using this yarn, and I just think it looks so good. Chef's kiss. I love this yarn. Okay, Hobbii Friends Cotton. I really like this yarn. I think it's gotta go to I'm hooked. It's so nice. It is so affordable and it comes in so many great colors. There's just like an endless amount of colors of this yarn. You could really do so much with this. I've been meaning to make my husband a hexagon pullover with this yarn because there's just so many fun colors that I just think that would be the perfect project to do some sort of striping cardigan sort of thing with this. That's really lightweight and easy to wear, and I might just have to make an entire video about that and give it to him on our wedding anniversary in April. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see. Lots of ideas coming about in this video. So it's not very often that I talk about Hobby Lobby yarn at all on my channel, and I think it's just because I don't have a Hobby Lobby near me. But that being said, I have tried the I Love This cotton yarn in the past, and it's a hit for me. I really love this yarn. It's going into Woolly Good. I just love how soft this cotton is and so many beautiful colors. The color that I'm showing here in this tier list is called Bruschetta, and I've made a beautiful pot holder with this in the past, but the reason that it's not going into Woolly Good is because it has 3% metallic polyester, which I'm pretty sure is not heat safe, and so for that reason I can't use this pot holder for any pots or pans or anything like that. Okay, look, we gotta talk about Caron cotton cakes. There's a reason why this is the last one on this list, and it is because it is my favorite. I love working with this yarn. It is so fabulous, and I love the color combinations. If you follow me over on Instagram, you might have seen the hexagon cardigan I made for myself, but I also made a hexa dog cardigan for Evie, my little red healer. I just love this yarn. The cotton is so nice to work with, and honestly, there are so many beautiful color combinations. I'm pretty sure you can find this exclusively at Michaels. I think what makes this yarn so great is that there's virtually zero splitting. So if you're a beginner crocheter, I highly recommend this yarn because you're really not going to have to change colors in your project because it stripes for you and it barely splits, if at all, which saves you a lot of headache. It's also surprisingly pretty affordable because $13 gets you about 530 yards in a skein, which I think is pretty reasonable, and I love this yarn. I really do, if I haven't made that clear. But this is my tier list. What do you think? I want to know. And if you're curious to make your own tier list of value yarns, I believe I can link this one in the description, so definitely check that out. And with all of that being said, I know there's tons and tons of value yarns out there. This is just based off of the ones that I have tried and I'm pretty familiar with. And if there are some value yarns that I didn't mention in this video, but you think are worth noting, whether you like them or hate them, leave them in the comments so you can help me and all the other crocheters in our amazing community out. If you enjoyed this video, I'm also thinking of making a tier ranking chenille yarn video, and I'm curious to know what you think of that. Would you like to know my opinions on chenille yarn? Because I've got them, let me tell you. Especially with the Big Twist Posh that just came out. There are so many chenille yarns these days. I feel like I could have a whole ranking for that. So let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. But thank you so much for watching and for being here. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future content from me. And until next Monday, happy crocheting. Bye!